Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Langer at the Mic Live, this Habs post-game show here. And the Montreal Canadiens, they found a way to win tonight, 4-3 against the Edmonton Oilers. And of course, it had to be a lot closer than it had to be. And let's just, before we get into the actual game, because look, when it was 4-1, when Josh Anderson had just scored that fourth goal that the Oilers challenged, but they tried to but they upheld it, and obviously the Habs had the power play, and because the Oilers challenged it but didn't get overturned, Jonathan Drouin had to find a way to high stick someone in the face. So we have to get that out of the way and just say that, I support Jonathan Drouin, and we as fans have to support Jonathan Drouin, or we should at least. You can support whoever you want as a fan, but I'm just saying, as a player of the Montreal Canadiens, I personally support Jonathan Drouin. And I've also defended him all year when, even though he only had 2 goals, and he was still playing really, really well, creating turnovers, good on the forecheck, being in good position in the transition games, setting up his teammates with great passes. But we also have to be fair to Jonathan Drouin. We got to support him, but we also have to be fair to them. The same way we criticize Shea Weber, which I'll get to in a little bit, played great tonight. We'll get to that in a little bit. Same way we criticize Carey Price. The same way we criticize Dominique Ducharme. The same way we criticize all like players when they don't play well. We have to be fair to Jonathan Drouin and admit that was unacceptable, that penalty. I don't care if it's an accident where your stick's flying in the air and you catch Josh Archibald in the face. I don't care if it's an accident. That can't happen when you're up 4-1 against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and give them a 4-minute power play that late in the hockey game. And surely enough, here come the Oilers, 4-2, 4-3. But luckily, the Montreal Canadiens, and then the Oilers had a couple of good chances to tie it up. But luckily, the Montreal Canadiens, they held on. They held on. They cleared the puck, and Josh Anderson was so close to having his first hat trick with the Montreal Canadiens. I think also his first career hat trick. But his stick broke, and he couldn't hit the empty net as time expired. But still, 4-3 was your final tonight. And honestly, up until that Drouin penalty, and even with the Drouin penalty, full marks to the Montreal Canadiens on this win. Full marks. It was just let's just start. Let's start with Shea Weber and Josh Anderson. Jonathan Drouin, by the way, was someone who spoke to the media and had some interesting things to say. Where he's like, what do you have? Like the 2 goals. I think he was asked like something along the lines of, the 2 goals has to be playing with your head, blah blah blah. But he's like, there's also a column to the right, and yeah, sure. Jonathan Drouin, I think, leads the Habs in assists, which is cool. But the fact that he hasn't been scoring goals has been hurting this team. But let's put Jonathan Drouin on the side and let's talk about Shea Weber and Josh Anderson for having practiced what they preached to the media this week. Because Josh Anderson said something along the lines of, we got to be meaner, we got to play like this, like these are the playoffs, because the playoffs essentially start now, because we're not guaranteed to make it, and we got to start playing like it's the playoffs, play with that intensity. And Josh Anderson was a power horse tonight. He lived up to his nickname tonight. He scored 2 goals. He had he was +2, of course, 5 shots on net, 3 hits, 16 minutes of ice time. Josh Anderson, power horse tonight. And now Shea Weber, of course. Shea Weber and Ben Sherratt, they were the bubble version of themselves tonight in this hockey game. They were the bubble version of themselves. They played a lot of ice time, and I know I've been very, very outspoken in terms of limiting their minutes, specifically Weber's minutes. They played 23 minutes. Sherratt played 27 minutes of ice time tonight. 27 minutes for Ben Sherratt tonight. Like, that is for Ben Sherratt. Usually you see guys like Darnell Nurse on the other side there, or Victor Hedman, or Shea Weber in his prime with 27 minutes. But man, Ben Sherratt, 27 minutes tonight, 9 hits, 3 blocked shots. Okay, a -1. They had the brain cramp with where they allowed Connor McDavid to get open the neutral zone because of a pinch or a turnover at the Oilers' blue line. Quick transition, McDavid got wide open, scored, just because that's what McDavid does when he has a breakaway. But Ben Sherratt and Shea Weber, specifically Shea Weber, after what he said the other day, where he said it's a team game, where he was asked where he had an opportunity to take responsibility for how badly he was playing. and he kind of washed his hands with it and said, oh, it's a team game, right? But you know what? He stepped up tonight, and he whatever I don't know if what he said affected or fired up the team, but something worked, and something with Shea Weber, in some way, shape, or form, took it upon himself to play the way he's capable of tonight. By the way, 2 comments from my 2 friends, Noah Siegel-London and Sheldon Weisberg. Noah says, until Drouin's penalty, they did a very good job shutting down McDavid through the whole game. I mean, look, you can only shut down McDavid to a certain point because he did get open for a goal. But you know what they did do? Is they, in these 2 games and pretty much all year, they have completely eliminated Leon Draisaitl. Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Nick Suzuki made Leon Draisaitl their child. Like on 2 separate occasions, especially. Like there was one play in the neutral zone where Kotkaniemi just completely out-muscled, outworked, out-willed Leon Draisaitl in a puck battle, came out with the puck. And then also a couple of other times against McDavid, Kotkaniemi just was relentless in his face. And even though maybe McDavid got away with the puck, Lehkonen was right there to support him and take the puck away. And then Nick Suzuki late in the second period just completely pickpocketed Leon Draisaitl to create a chance going the other way on Mike Smith. So yeah, like Kotkaniemi, Suzuki, and Deneau, they were Draisaitl's dad today. I wouldn't say McDavid. Because again, McDavid still got the goal today, and he pretty much took over the entire game on Monday. But Draisaitl, the Habs just like Draisaitl had 3 dads tonight, and they were Nick Suzuki, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and Philip Deneau. And Sheldon Weisberg, this game reminded me a bit of Game 5 of the 1986 Stanley Cup Final. It's often forgotten that the Habs almost blew a 4-1 lead that night. I mean, I remember, I don't remember much personally about that 1986 Stanley Cup Final. I just know that Patrick Waugh was in net for that as a rookie and won I think his first, not the Calder, the Conn Smythe that year, one of 3 Conn Smythes that Patrick won his career, I guess, because 1993 and 1996 with the Colorado Avalanche and again with the Montreal Canadiens 93. But yeah, booyah from Dixon Automotive Group. As usual, guys, if you're just tuning in right now, whether you're watching this live or after the fact, feel free to leave a comment on what your favorite part of the game was tonight. And I guess also, you know what? Why not throw in some comments about Drouin, whether you love him, whether you hate him. That's always fun to talk about. I mean, again, I always try to I don't know, like I said, I support Drouin, but we also got to be fair to him. And yeah, just look, Weber, Anderson, Kotkaniemi, Suzuki, like that. By the way, Lehkonen scored tonight. Arturi Lehkonen scored a goal tonight after the video and practice of him earlier this week, just completely missing the wide open net. I guess, like, look, it was a stupid play in practice where he was probably practicing picking the corners and just like the puck like happened to bobble off his stick and it happened to get caught on camera. But Lehkonen with his 4th goal of the year, and it was a nice goal. Like it was a goal scorer's type of goal because he had to stop. Like, first of all, let's back up a sec. Kotkaniemi, great play in the neutral zone to evade an Oilers defender and keep the play alive, hold the puck for like just long enough to create that passing lane to Lehkonen to the left wing. And then Lehkonen was open, found that open space, driving towards the net, caught the pass from Kotkaniemi, went forehand, backhand, buried it on Mike Smith. And like that's a goal scorer's goal right there. So full marks for Arturi Lehkonen and Jesperi Kotkaniemi with the finish on that play. I had to, yeah, but anyway. And yeah, Lehkonen, by the way, tonight also was a beast on the PK. The Oilers tonight, that was their first goal. The Edmonton Oilers, the goal they scored late in the second period was the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins goal. That was the first goal that the Edmonton Oilers scored against the Montreal Canadiens on the power play in Edmonton this year. Up until this point, the Edmonton Oilers with Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, Darnell Nurse, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had not scored a power play goal on the Montreal Canadiens at home this year. I think they had like 2 or 3 in Montreal at the Bell Center. But yeah, they were just the Habs have done an outstanding job killing penalties against the Edmonton Oilers, and the fact that it took this long and a stupid Jonathan Drouin penalty for them to finally score is quite really remarkable in terms of how the Habs have done on the PK against the Oilers. Yeah, 1 for 4 on the night. And guess what? Speaking of power plays and special teams, the Montreal Canadiens, they scored their 3rd power play goal in the last 12 games. Their first goal since the Ottawa game, I want to say 2 weeks ago. Not the one last week on Saturday, but the one before that, where Tyler Toffoli took a nice backhand pass from Nick Suzuki and one-timed it on Anton Forsberg. The Montreal Canadiens, Tyler Toffoli again, how appropriately, took essentially a pass from a Edmonton Oilers defenseman off Mike Smith, who Mike Smith was like, why are you passing it to me? And naturally gave up a rebound. And Tyler Toffoli, right place, right time, like he's been pretty much all year, buried it for his 22nd goal of the season. And yeah, just look, he it continues to just have a knack for scoring goals. Just that simple. And by the way, again, more comments from Noah and Sheldon and Dixon Automotive Group here. Merrill replacing Kulak, not what needs to happen going forward. I agree. I really like the way that Kulak's been playing. And here's my thing though. And also Dixon Automotive Group, KK smashing buddy. Yeah, I forgot. Like earlier in the game, I want to mention that as well. Jesperi Kotkaniemi pretty much threw who is it? Archibald in the bench. I want to say Josh Archibald. If I just go up to my notes here. Yeah, it was Josh Archibald that Kotkaniemi threw into the Montreal Canadiens bench. It was just like Kotkaniemi was a goon tonight. Like he was like a goon, but also a playmaker tonight. Like he was just relentless. He had 5 hits tonight, by the way. Sorry, 3 hits. No wait. Yeah, I had that right. 5 hits Kotkaniemi had tonight, but only 13 minutes of ice time. That's weird. He did have a bit of an equipment malfunction, and I think that's why I missed a couple of shifts in the first period. At least according to, I think, Eric Engels. And I missed that report when I tweet about that at Mike Langer. Again, give me a follow at Mike Langer on Twitter. But all this to say, yeah, Kotkaniemi was relentless tonight. And also just going back up to Noah's comment here, Merrill replacing Kulak, not what needs to happen going forward. So here's my frustrating thing. And then also, Sheldon, we'll get to your comment as well. If the cap situation keeps Caulfield out of the lineup, does it mean Gustafsson can't get in either? Let's just back up a sec. Let's talk about John Merrill and Brett Kulak and Shea Weber and Ben Sherratt and this whole blue line and cap situation. So the frustrating thing is that the way the Habs played tonight is they showed that they can play this way. They can skate. They can hit. They can score goals. They can defend. They could also take stupid penalties with 4 minutes left, but let's just pretend that didn't happen. But they can do the things that they need to do to win hockey games against really good players and against really good teams. Because the Oilers, okay, maybe they're top heavy in McDavid and Draisaitl, but Mike Smith has been playing really well all year. And the Canadiens, they bothered for the first time in 4 games this year. They made Mike Smith's life miserable. They made Mike Smith's life complicated. So the Montreal Canadiens, they've proven with their performance tonight that they can play this way. They can do it. But the problem is, can they do it consistently? And I still rest my case. I still what's it called? I hold true to the fact that the Canadiens are mentally and physically tired. They have to be mentally and physically tired. There will have games where their fatigue mentally and physically will affect the way they play, which has been the case for pretty much 5 of these 6 last games, with the exception of tonight, or 5 of these 7 last games, with the exception of tonight and last week against the Leafs. So we're talking about Merrill, we're talking about Gustafsson and all that in the cap situation. So here's the thing. Caulfield is the only guy that's not on the active roster in that whole thing. And Gustafsson, I'm pretty sure, is also on the active roster right now with John Merrill. I'll have to confirm that after the fact, but still. So they are eligible to get into the lineup and out of the lineup. But with that being said, I still hold true. I still hold belief in the fact that they have to give Weber and Petrie a night off here and there. Load manage. Because, again, you need them rested and fresh, and you need to give them the opportunity to play at their best come playoff time. And Ben Sherratt playing 27 minutes tonight. He played a heck of a game, probably his best game of the season this year, but Ben Sherratt, right? But playing him 27 minutes a game isn't going to help him be fresh and ready to go for the playoffs. Obviously, you need to win games to get there, but you also have to be you're also going to probably have another game or two or several games like you had on Monday where you just collapse in the third period because you're just tired and can't sustain the way you play for the entirety of a hockey game, because it's a condensed season. It's a heavy schedule. It's you're playing 4 games a week until the end of the season. So it's going to happen. You're going to have games like that. And would you want to lose games like that with Weber and Petrie playing 27 minutes for nothing and Sherratt playing 27 minutes for nothing? Or would you rather at least give Gustafsson, Merrill, Kulak those minutes so that way when it comes playoff time and you need Weber, Sherratt, and Petrie and Edmondson to be at their best, they will be at their best. So that's my whole spiel with at least the Gustafsson and the defense and the Merrill and the Kulak. And yeah, Dixon Automotive Group again. KK, imagine him in 2 years, man. The thing with Kotkaniemi though, like he got the assist, like the full marks on the assist for the Lehkonen goal, but he has to put up more points. If I'm gonna knock Kotkaniemi for anything this year, I heard Gordon Miller on Melnick in the afternoon a couple of days ago, and I agree with him. He was saying that Kotkaniemi next year is going to be in his 4th year. That's going to be a production year for Kotkaniemi. Assuming it's going to be an 82 game season, 40 points in 82 games for Kotkaniemi isn't going to cut it anymore. At least we're going to need at least 50 points for Kotkaniemi in an 82 game season. And Kotkaniemi right now is, I don't have that off the top, but I think he's on around a 40 point pace right now. So, and also his shot in terms of his shooting, he's finding ways to get to the puck to the net more often, which is great. But I find he's now falling into the bad habit of so many of these Canadiens forwards and just hitting it right at the crest. So for Kotkaniemi to take that next step, he's got to produce more points because his two-way game right now is phenomenal, especially with the limited ice time that he's getting. But he has to find a way to now finish, but finish and score on the opportunities that he gets instead of just putting it at the goaltender's logo. And yeah, just look, a lot of things to get to. And again, as usual, I appreciate the engagement and the interaction here. A couple of things I wanted to mention. So I mentioned Kotkaniemi. I mentioned Lehkonen was an absolute beast tonight. Lehkonen with 3 hits. He had a blocked shot. But Paul Byron, by the way, in this hockey game, Paul Byron had 7 hits. 5'9", Paul Byron had 7 hits. And that's not to take anything away from Josh Anderson, who had 3, and Ben Sherratt, who had 9 for Ben Sherratt. Yoel Armia, who had 6. Shea Weber, who had 4. Paul Byron had 7 hits tonight. And overall in this hockey game, like teams of years past, this is something else I tweeted in the middle of the game. Habs teams of years past in a game with like where they're getting hit like 40 whatever times, like there were 87 hits in this hockey game. The Montreal Canadiens had 46 of those 87 hits. Like teams in Habs teams in years past, they wouldn't have had they would have maybe had the grit, but they just wouldn't have had the size and the robustness in their lineup, particularly in their forward group, to keep up in a physical hockey game like this. But tonight, Edmonton came out hitting, or even from the warmups, you had Anderson and Weber drawing back and forth at Chiasson. By the way, shout out to Corey Perry for dropping the gloves with Chiasson or Alex Chiasson early in the first period. Thank God Corey Perry didn't get hurt, but at least it sent a message, I guess, which had to happen for Chiasson running into Carey Price last game. And but yeah, like essentially, where was it going again? Yeah, like look, the leadership or the size. Yeah, so the Habs now with guys like Josh Anderson, Corey Perry, even Eric Stahl, like that fourth line, Eric Stahl, Corey Perry, Jonathan Drouin before the penalty was really, really good tonight. Like they were effective tonight. They made things happen in the offensive zone. Like that was very encouraging. It was one of Stahl's best game as a Montreal Canadiens so far. But like it was definitely, I'd say, a top 2 in the 10 games that Stahl's played with the Habs, or like the 7-8 games that Stahl's played so far with the Habs. This was his at worst his second best game as a Montreal Canadiens tonight, because they created chances. They created chances in the offensive zone. They made things happen. And Drouin just again had a chance to shoot. Stahl created a perfect turnover, fed Drouin to the left wing, and Drouin, instead of taking the quick shot, just fed it back to the middle to no one. That took away the scoring chance. But anyway, it was off the top of my head. But either way, that fourth line, very effective tonight. Love the way they played. And again, just that size that they have at 4. And even Yoel Armia tonight, he had 6 hits. Was it 6 hits? Pulling that up right over here. 6 hits for Yoel Armia. So look, in the 5 of the last periods that the Montreal Canadiens played were perfect ingredients for how they need to play to win hockey games. 5 of the 6 last periods. Skating hard, hitting, scoring goals, finishing, creating turnovers, being tough to play against, being annoyed, being relentless, because again, Connor McDavid had his goal tonight and last night or on Monday, and he had his points. Connor McDavid did in these two games, but Leon Draisaitl, like I said, was just completely shut down by the Montreal Canadiens. And again, you saw the recipe for how to win hockey games. But can the Canadiens play like this for full games, night in, night out, from here on to the end of the season and into the playoffs? Well, it remains to be seen. I will say that no, because given how the season has gone, it's win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. But at least tonight showed how well. And again, I feel like I've been a little bit more negative than I should be after such a great performance that the Habs turned in tonight. But still, but in terms of the big picture, we need to see that consistency happen from night in, night out, even period to period. Never mind night in, night out, but period to period. And yeah, and then obviously Cole Caulfield is still not in the lineup because of the recall situation, the cap situation now with Caden Primo having to get called up for Carey Price's absence. That now puts the strain on the cap. And then obviously the Habs have only one more call-up that they can use, which they should use on Cole Caulfield. But if they can't bring up because of the cap, well, then that's another story. All this to say, though, look, it's 1 a.m. in the morning. The Montreal Canadiens, they responded with a great team effort tonight. Heck, even Danault, Tatar, and I also want to mention Nick Suzuki played really, really well tonight. I already mentioned that already, probably about 15 minutes ago. But yeah, just look, it was a great performance by Montreal Canadiens tonight, a great bounce back game, a great statement performance. They showed leadership, they showed fight, they showed character. They played the entire hockey game, even with the penalty. They still held on to win. They did what they had to do to hold on to win. Jake Allen made big saves tonight again. Jake Allen was steady tonight, even though maybe his save percentage hasn't been as great. He's still getting the job done. He's still giving the Habs a chance to win. So look, Romanov got like a sniff of power play time in the third period there, but yeah, look, just again, it's 1 a.m. and let's wrap it up here. It's all I pretty much have here, but yeah, really, it's awesome and so much fun to watch the Canadiens when they play like this. But it's just also equally frustrating how they go from playing like the way they played tonight to the way they played in the third period on Monday, or the way they played against the Ottawa Senators on Saturday. So they have two big games coming up against Calgary Flames, huge games against the Calgary Flames, although you can say that maybe the Vancouver Canucks might be a threat to them as well at this point, because the Canucks, I believe now they are 10 points back with 5 games in hand. I want to say, 5 games in hand, 10 points back, because they were 8 points back, 4 games in hand earlier today. So it makes sense that's 10-10 or 10-5. So you still have to win these. You still have to get those points to stay ahead in the standings, and you have to win against the Calgary Flames. Sounds like we're going to see Caden Primo, which is good because that means Jake Allen at this point, now that he's a number 1 goaltender with how much time Price has missed, he also needs that. You have to monitor his workload as well, especially if maybe Price won't be healthy for the playoffs. But I'm excited to see Caden Primo either on Friday or Saturday. Yeah, Sheldon is excited in the comment section as well. But yeah, that'll be on Friday and Saturday. And the Habs, they have, like, if there are games that they cannot afford to lose, it's against the Calgary Flames. When I'm talking about load managing guys, I'm obviously talking about, maybe against the Senators every now and then to sit Weber a game, maybe against the Leafs, maybe, or maybe against the Jets, but against the Flames, you have to win the games against the Calgary Flames. And yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for tuning in to this late Habs post-game show here on Langer at the Mic Live. As usual, if you enjoy my commentary, give me a big thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment on what you enjoyed the most from this game. And yeah, just give me a follow on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Mike Langer for all 3. And as usual, thank you so much for joining me on this Langer at the Mic Live Habs post-game show. I look forward to seeing you again next time.